Hey, welcome everyone to another episode of Legends of FPV. Tonight we are joined by none other than Mr. Steele Davis himself. I know many of you know who that is. He has been a leading person in FPV for a long time here. He's been in the FPV hobby for a long time, since almost the beginning of FPV. And I'm excited to get to talk to him tonight, interact with him, with you all live. So remember, we're live right here, right now. If you want to ask any questions, join us in the chat. We'll be happy to answer those questions, talk with you as we get going. So without further ado, I'm joining Steele here. Steele, what's up, man?
What's up? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm trying to center myself. I don't know which way. It's all reversed.
I know. You're always looking left or right.
I'm good. I just got done working in the yard, actually. Some trees decided to fall over while I was gone for the last 3 months. And then, yeah, my grass hasn't been cut. So
the joys of owning a house, huh?
I don't mind it. I like it. I cut a new penis in the backyard. I don't know if you know about that.
I saw that. Well, you did one originally a little while ago, right? You did something.
Yeah, this one's kind of squirrely. It's kind of got an arc in it, so it's a little more legit. Right. I think the planes will appreciate it.
We'll get a chance to see it if we follow you. Maybe you'll fly around your yard sometime later this week or something.
Yeah, most likely.
All right, cool. Well, welcome, Steele. Welcome to everyone who's joined us here live on Legends of FPV tonight. Look forward to talking with Steele, getting to know you a little bit better. Steele, a little behind the scenes maybe of some information somebody might not know who's been following you. Looks like we already have a lot of fans and people on the chat. That's awesome to see so many people here. So, I mean, to get started, maybe we'll start a little bit at the beginning and give a quick background. I'd love to know, how did you get into FPV? Like, what was the catalyst that got you started into the hobby that we all love?
Honestly, it was a YouTube video from this guy, Smarter Every Day, that my buddy Luke sent me. It was like a 3D helicopter, and I got into 3D helicopters immediately. And then right after that, I like stumbled across a TBS video of them flying wings, like diving down mountains and stuff. And then I stumbled across a blackout video. Like, this all happened within like 2-3 weeks. And then fortunately, I called Sean at GetFPV and picked his brain for like 3 days. And I mean, a lot more than that. But yeah, basically all the introductory knowledge I had of FPV was from Sean, which actually, to my knowledge, still works there. Is he still there?
He is. Yeah, he's been here since he was like employee number 3 after me. He's awesome, and he's helped so many people. I mean, your story, I'm so glad he got to do that with you, and it's really cool that he was influential in terms of the beginning of your journey there. But he's done that for, I don't know, probably thousands of people now. Not all of them end up being an incredible pilot like you, but he's been there for so many people. And I am impressed with his ability to do that, because being able to do that customer service all the time takes a certain personality. But he does a great job. Yeah. Well, that's cool. So you started talking to Sean. You got some info, kind of getting started into FPV. And then what was your first kind of quad, or what did you do? How'd you fly? What was the experience like for you?
I mean, I think while I was trying to figure out what mini quad I wanted, I was talking to Sean, and I had bought a Discovery Pro, which is a TBS quad that nobody knows about, but it was basically like a competitor with the Phantom 2 at the time. It was a GoPro carrying quadcopter that was 400 by 400. It actually used flame wheel 450 arms, which nobody knows what that is, but there was a DJI drone while the Phantom 1 came out that was like a DIY drone. There was the flame wheel 550, which was like a hexacopter. I don't know why they called it the 550. And then there was the flame wheel 450 or 400.
450 was a quad. I'm assuming it was probably the distance for like motor to motor, like just a millimeter or something like that.
Yeah. Anyways, the 450 was like, all it was 2 plates and then 4 plastic arms with these like they were like brass nutserts. And they were like, they were all, pre-molded arms. Anyways, TBS made with Team Black Sheep, that is still around, obviously, and so DJI is still around. They made two plates that oriented those arms that DJI made into a dead cat formation, and then they put a GoPro in the front of it, and they like integrated all these OSDs and crazy things for analog video. So they had a switch between the cameras, so you could switch to the actual GoPro view and like look down, and then switch back to the FPV view. It was kind of cool, and all that stuff was built in. It had like telemetry, and you could run their diversity, or not their diversity actually. There was Easy UHF, which was like a immersion RC, a long range system that was 433 megahertz. This is like way before Crossfire and stuff. And they were actually integrated with Immersion RC before they split off and started doing their own stuff with TBS. And this was like around that time that they were still doing Immersion RC stuff. And I bought UHF and I flew a mini quad. I ended up buying a Blackout Mini H quad, which is like a 220 millimeter drone. And I put UHF and 1.3 video. So I had like big ass antennas hanging off of it, and these like big grapefruit transmitting antennas, because I rocked a circular polarized Ivy Crazy air screw, or maybe I think it was an air screw, but it was a 1.3 antenna, so it was massive.
Yeah, they're like that.
Yeah, literally like grapefruit.
I remember. Yeah, I mean that was the setup. Like everything was long range, low frequency like that. Yeah. 5.8 transmitters. There was a few of them, but they were all pretty awful at the time in terms of performance. So if you wanted to get any kind of distance, it was like 1.3 type 1.2 video, and then like you're saying 433 for the control link. Yeah, I remember those days. We carried that flame wheel frame in the store
forever
until like 3
There's
years
probably
ago.
an arm somewhere in the shop, like one of those stupid red, white, or black arms.
No, I don't doubt it. We made an aftermarket arm actually for the Discovery. I don't know if you ever remember that. It was a G10 arm.
One?
Yeah, well, it was the same. We had two versions. We had a longer one and a standard one, but the difference was it was a G10 arm, and then it had an aluminum bracket that adapted to the G10 to basically create the same amount of space. But it was kind of like an upgraded arm, so you could go from the plastic arm to a much more rigid, like a G10 material.
Yeah.
I think we still have brackets in stock because we had to buy like thousands of them to machine them, and then we didn't sell all of them. So if anybody still needs them, they're in the store. I think they're like 10 cents or something.
Someone in the comments said it must have been great range. It was not. It was terrible. Like the 5.8 nowadays would blow it away. It was crazy. The 5.8 back then, if I was flying in a field and I went behind one tree, it would like completely static out. And like 1.3, I could maybe go like 50 yards and then go behind a tree, and it would still like static out. It's the receiver technology is really what has come a long way, like being able to differentiate crap signal from good signal, and then show you the good signal. So like 5.8, I remember Metal Danny, which like nobody knows who that is. That'd be dope if you could have him on here. I
should see if I can find him.
I don't know if he would do that, but Metal Danny, it was like Boris B, which is the guy that created Betaflight. Metal Danny, and then wow, I almost said oh my god. No, it wasn't oh my god. It was Final Glide Oz, Chad Nowak, and there were like those three guys, and then like one other dude. Well, there was all-wheel drive quads, and then Raya Rex or something, and those dudes were like the Blackout people, and then obviously Blackout himself, which was this frame. I don't know. I'm like speaking a lot of tongues because nobody knows about all this stuff. But there was a frame.
You'd be surprised. There's a lot of old school people in the chat here, so we'll probably know. I know.
Yeah. Well, for the moral of the story, if you are new, there was a frame called the Blackout that came out in like 2014, and it was the first it wasn't the first, but it was the first popular mini quad that was a 5-inch quad that could hold full size electronics. And at the time, the cameras were, pretty big. You had like a PZO 420, which was like this massive camera.
30 millimeter camera, yeah.
Yeah, and then it was just a board with a lens on the front. Like it didn't have like an enclosure or anything. So you got those things, and the little crystal would hang off the front, the little oscillator, and sometimes it would break and the camera would turn off. Do you remember the little oscillator? It was like a can.
Oh yeah.
And it would sit on the front. And if you didn't like hot glue that thing down, it would just break and the video would go off. So yeah, anyways, like that was the first quad that had all of that gear. So you ran it like immersion, big transmitter. Most people running those like 700 mil, or they're 800 milliwatt, 700 milliwatt, the big immersion transmitters. And then the PZO 420. Is it the PZO 420 or is it like older? I feel like the HS 1177 was the next gen. PZO 420 was like the OG one. And that's the CMOS or CCD camera that I still use to the same sensor that I still use now, like almost 8 years later. So it's kind of crazy, but yeah, the camera has gotten a little bit smaller. And then as far as like drone motors and props, we were running like Gym Fan 5030s and 1806.
Two blades, right?
Yeah, Gym Fan 5030 bi-blade, and then we were running 1806 2300 kV on 3S, and that was like crazy power. And those motors were $43.99 a piece, and they had like prop adapters and T-mount before T-mount has made a comeback.
Yeah, full
And like
circle.
this was all back in the day. T-Motor had all that figured out, but they were $43 a piece for an 1806. So it's funny to me when people complain about the price of motors with the inflation going on. And yet in 2014, I was paying $43, which probably equates to like $70 a motor now, which is crazy.
And the flight controller was like $100 for a
Oh yeah,
basic
yeah.
flight
The
controller.
CCD or
Yeah,
CC3D, that piece of garbage.
PC3D.
They had
Yeah.
like this PID tuning, rate tuning setup, like it was in the graphic user interface, and it said like snappy, and you could just drag this stupid bar across. It was so dumb. I was
I
like,
think I never used it.
what does snappy do? And I'd like drag it over and go fly it, and it didn't do anything. I'm like, okay, that's dumb. And then I got a Naze 32, which actually there's a guy named Chris Brand, which again is like super OG. I don't, you probably know who he is.
Yeah, he makes
But
some awesome videos.
yeah, he had the Brandstormer, which was a drone that was made by, what was that drone made by? There's a frame called the Brandstormer. I forget who made it.
I don't remember that one.
But anyways, maybe it was Hover Things or Hovership. I think it was a Hovership
Okay.
drone. Yeah, and that was ridiculous. But anyways, he was the one that was like, "Oh yeah, you don't want that CC3D, you want a Naze." And I was like, "But the Naze is $30. This one's 70. Come on." Like even when I
Yeah.
was making no money at all, I was like, "Obviously this one's better because it's more." And I got it, and it was the only thing that I purchased that wasn't better. That was more money. The Naze 32 was like $25 or $30. And anyways, yeah, that was the OG days with the Tyrannus that I still have. So actually, I might have given that one away, but I still have the front plate from it, the little orange camo front plate that I got from eBay. I don't know.
Awesome. You're
Dumb
bringing
stuff.
up a lot of old memories. On that note, I have a game we can play. I have some equipment here from past times. I'm going to bring it up on screen and see if you recognize it or if it jogs your memory at all. Hang on, let me put up the screen here. All right. First one we're going to start with. We've already talked about this to some degree. Let's see if you recognize what it is. Does that look familiar to you?
It's a blackout hex bottom plate, the camera
Yeah, you
plate.
got it, man. Yep, this is a spare. We still have one of these in stock, believe it or not.
Just
Apparently the demand has gone down, but this is a plate from the Blackout Hex Spider Hex quad.
Yeah, I always wanted to
Or
make
Hex, not a
a
quad.
6-inch, 6-bladed 6S hex. That's what I wanted back in the day. I was like, I'm gonna make the blackout 666 quad, and it never happened.
666. That would be cool. All right, you got that one. Nailed it. Let's see if you recognize one of these parts and what it's used for. Does that
Yeah,
look
it's a
familiar at
toroid.
all?
Yeah, it's a toroid. You'd like run your wires through it so it'd keep down your interference.
Yeah, people these days don't even know. We had to do so much stuff just to get video signal to work. So like you'd get noise in your wires and filtering was awful. So
Yeah.
like one of the first things you'd be like, have you wrapped your wires around a toroid? And you're like, no. And you're wrapping all your cables on your camera and your transmitter and trying to like filter out noise. Yep. All right. Toroid, that's splashed in the past. How about these ones? These ones look familiar to you?
No, those are the OG fucking. Oh my god, sorry, I'm cussing too much. YouTube's gonna demonetize us. It's the HQ 5040 by 3, the original glass nylon props that I have a buttload of, and that's the prop that originally started the whole tri-blade craze. Like the reason tri-blades are a staple in today's like mini quad world is from that prop, and me and this dude named All Wheel Drive Quads and Chad Noack flying that prop, and then it just.
Hey, still, I think I just lost your audio. I don't know if you're still talking.
You got me?
Yeah, it's out. It's gone.
Why is it going?
I don't know.
Check 1 2. You back?
Try to get it back.
Hello, hello. 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 Check. Can you hear me? What's going on here? I can't hear anything now. Someone hacked it. Oh, they can hear me, but they can't hear you, Andy. Hello. Rob Davis, what up? So they can hear me. Hello. Hey.
Yeah, they can all hear. It's probably just me then.
If it's
All
my
right, talk
internet.
still. No, it was me. I think my
Hello?
headphones just died, or the Bluetooth died or something.
Oh.
I can hear you. That was all my bad, not your bad.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, everyone. We're back. All right, HQ Prop. Yeah, you got started. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying hey to Michael in the chat. But yeah, so I started flying, or my buddy all-wheel drive quads, which was a blackout mini quad pilot at Drone Nationals, swapped those props onto my drone like right before I went out to fly, like for a race. I don't even know. I think I went to pee because I'm like real nervous, and I had to go do a nervous pee before I went to race.
Okay.
And I came back and my quad had these on it, and I was like, what the hell? Because I was usually flying bi-blades, and the only reason I flew bi-blades was because it was a 50-50 chance when you crash whether or not you'd break a propeller, where those you were a lot more likely to break a prop. And I just couldn't afford it because they were like $4 a set. So I would always run bi-blades, and he put the tri-blades on there, and I flew them, and it was like amazing. I think I got the fastest lap in the entire, I basically was the fastest by 2 seconds over the entire course. And I had like the pole position the next day because of that race. And it was, and I'd flown a new prop that I'd never even flown before, and new SCs because I had blown an ESC up earlier that morning, had a kiss fire early in the morning in the dew. But yeah, the standard for
right?
tri-blade,
change all your products. Yeah, change all your products right on race day.
Yeah, well, that's why I don't race. There's too much drama. Too much drama with that.
Cool. Well, yeah, there's a lot of history behind that prop, and they have come a long way since then. I got one more prop. See if you recognize this design or shape.
Yeah, that's the 64.5 or 6.4 HQ bullnose, or maybe it's a 5.4. They chopped down.
I think it's a 5.4. Yeah, this is.
But that's that carbon stuff that was like a lot harder, and it didn't like it would just shatter. They weren't as good as the glass nylon. Those, for some reason, when you introduce the color black into propellers, they become extremely weak. I don't know if it's like the carbon that you introduce into it, but every black propeller I've ever used has just been extremely weak compared to anything else.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, this is the bullnose prop. I don't know if you remember, at least for me, the original bullnose prop was a guy named Midwest Rob.
Yep.
Flying the QAV 400 at the time, I believe, and he was chopping down 10-inch props down to 8-inch and creating that like bullnose because he just wanted like more prop in an 8-inch size. And then that became a thing. And people, do you remember people were taking like Dremels to props and chopping them down?
I actually have. I have like a jig that you put on the end of a Dremel, and like you just put the prop on this thing and spin it, and it'll and cut the blades off. It's pretty awesome.
Crazy, the things we used to do for that. All right, I got another one. This is this one you might recognize. What's this?
It's Peter the Penetrator, man.
That's Peter.
2.4 antenna. I love that antenna. These aren't hard. You need to give me something like real hard.
I don't know. I'm just having fun with these. They aren't too hard, honestly. I thought this one was interesting, though, because I think you kind of made it famous, right? I mean, you've been using that for a while. Yeah,
the 2.4 antenna. Like back, I guess if you don't know what that is, I'm sure there's a lot of people that know what that is in the chat. But for some reason, when I was flying on the Tyrannus a long time ago, I just wanted more range, and I just felt like getting a higher dB antenna it just gave me the confidence. I don't even know. Like I did do range tests, and it was like 20% as far as like I could tell within like, real world testing. I felt like I could go a little bit further, and it just gave me the more like that extra amount of confidence. And then it got nicknamed Peter the Penetrator, and like it just.
Who nicknamed it? You did or somebody else?
It was Kevin, because he's all about alliteration. Every time Kevin comes up with a nickname, it's always some kind of alliteration. Like
Kevin, he's a fun guy.
With Mr. Steve, I actually told Kevin. I remember him saying, like, he asked me something and I told him my name was Mr. Steve, like on accident, like just being funny. And then that's where that came from. So now I called myself Mr. Steve as a joke, and then it became a common thing amongst our little Atlanta crew.
That's funny. Yeah, we had Schizo on last week, and of course, you guys have had a lot of overlap with your FPV career, and you have done a lot of flying together.
Yeah.
What do I got? I got this here. How about this?
Oh, it's a current sensor of some sort. Is it the TBS one?
Let me see if I can get a little
And it
closer
even
here.
has the zip tie hole, so you can zip tie that thing. Because I think you put the XT60s on each side of it. Like you actually soldered XT60s onto that thing.
Yeah,
Or
you
maybe
could. You could
you
do direct
could.
wire XC60. I mean, it goes in line, but it was a current sensor because back in the day, if you wanted any kind of current sensing on your OSD,
Yeah.
you had to do something like this because they weren't included on the flight controller.
Yeah, I had one of those on my Blackout 330 actually. So like that worked with the PMP Pro, which was the plug and play Pro, and that was the 100 amp current sensor. The PMP 25 and the PMP 50, which is where my OSDs are derived from, which are old school things that were like this little box that TBS made, and it had
Mm-hmm.
like cables coming out of it, had an input and an output, and you would plug in your battery on one side and the output would go to the aircraft, and all of the data would come through that, and it would give you OSD, it would give you amp draw, battery voltage, depending on if you wanted it, it could give you RSSI, it would give you overall amp consumption as well. So like if you look at my OSD on the Apex, it's all from that original PMP 25, and then I went to PMP 50. The only difference between the two was one had a thicker wire, one was like 16 gauge, and one was 14 gauge. And they were hard to solder. And that thing was the 100 amp one. And since my
Yep.
Blackout 330 would do more than 50 amps, I had to run that thing, and it was stupid. It had a bunch of extra wires and
Yep. I think I still have one of these in one of my plane builds. It worked fine. Just don't really need them usually anymore. All right, this is a little bit older. This specifically is the motor I'm thinking about talking about.
2206, 2350. Yeah.
Yeah, the original RX motor. I know you used those for a while, and they when
Yeah.
you
You
got
know how
started.
those things came about? Do you know the story of why everybody started flying those?
Because we made them. I don't know. Tell me.
No. So like after we went to Hawaii with like Chad Nowak and everybody and Tim
Yeah.
and you were there, correct?
No, I wasn't.
You
I
didn't go to
Tim
Hawaii?
Tim got to go to the fun events. I had to stay at the store and make sure everybody still got their orders.
Okay. Well, in Hawaii, we went there for like this trip to like scout out Drone Worlds, which was a race. So Chad Nowak won Drone Nationals, the one 2015, and I like got second place freestyle, which meant nothing. I have like all these trophies above my head right now. They're all second place. I have like the most second place trophies ever. I've never actually won anything in my whole life. I just got second place at the freestyle comp at IO this year too. So it's just like constant second place.
Nice.
But I was at that thing and we were talking about Cobra motors, and Cobra was like the big motor company at the time. They made a 2204, 2204 2300 kV, which was really a 2205. There was like this big
Right.
debacle because it made more power than everybody else's 2204s. And they actually made a 2204 1960, which was like the 6-inch motor that Metal Danny used to run on 4S. And anyways, at the time, there were people that were buying these motors because they were popular, because Chad and Sharpoo and everybody were flying them, or I don't know if Carlos was, but Chad and myself were flying them, and the magnets started slipping out of the bottom.
I remember that.
And I didn't actually have the problem personally, but Chad had it. And I was sponsored by the company, and Chad and I made an executive decision to at least acknowledge the fact that Cobra wasn't doing anything about it. And like it became this like big debacle in the community about how Cobra was like just not doing anything and like causing all these problems with the motors and then not warrantying them or anything. And then Tim from GetFPV came to us, and he had like I think at the time I was trying to create like a pilot union, because everyone was like basically getting taken advantage of, and like some people were working with some companies, and I just tried to get everybody in this collective group chat. So we had like all the top pilots in this group chat. And then Tim was in there, and he came in there and he said, hey, if you guys will, or if you guys want, I know you're having problems with Cobra motors, I'll send you 20 of these 2206 2350 kV motors to anyone that wants them. So like everyone was like, sure, whatever, 20 motors. And we got 20 of those, and then started flying them. We thought they were going to be too amp hungry. And then I worked with Tim for the longest time to try to make a 2205 to mimic the Cobra motor. And it ended up being that motor was just better overall than a 2205. Obviously it was a 2206, and the weight didn't really matter. So it ended up just being like the motor that everybody flew, and it was really smooth, but it was not very durable. That thing
Yeah,
was
I mean,
like
this is
cheese.
the older style where it had an internal shaft that was smaller that
Yeah.
presses into the aluminum prop adapter here. So you end up with I think a 3 millimeter shaft inside. So that's usually what would fail, or the aluminum, bends up here.
Yep.
But you're right, it was a very smooth motor. The magnets were a little less powerful compared to like an N52 today.
Yeah.
But the trade-off was it was very efficient, very smooth. And for a long time, I mean, it was a solid motor, and it's. I mean, depending on what your need is today, they could even still work today. But yeah,
Yeah.
I found that in the wall. It reminded me of you because I knew you had flown that motor for a while.
Yeah. I still steal or I used to steal the C clips off of those to like fix my motors. So like when my first motor came out, I like tried to get a malleable C clip like that one so that you could take them off and put them back on, because this was before
Mhm.
the screw was a thing. And like we ended up getting to the last final stages, and some dude was testing them and they kept popping off. And I said, all right, look, I don't care anymore. Just put the most intense C clip on there so that it doesn't pop off. And they put one that was too tight, and then it would pop off because it was too tight. And
Uh-huh.
then, there's like a problem in the beginning. The C clips are falling off. So anyways, when I had to, you had to like break those C clips. You couldn't fix them. The
Right.
linear motors were malleable. So you just open them up and clamp them back onto my motor. So like most of my V1 motors have like those C clips from that motor on there.
Nice.
It's pretty
Well, we got a
random.
lot of chat going on. I want to get to a few things before we keep going too far.
Yeah.
Whoop Squad says he had to go, but he wanted to ask a question before he went. He says, have you ever run into anyone accidentally while flying? Have you ever had in a situation where you hit somebody or maybe yourself?
Are we talking about like hitting them
I
personally
don't
hitting them,
know.
or like walking into someone being at a spot that I don't know
I'm
that
assuming
flies
like
mini
with
quads?
your quad that you like run into
I
somebody
have
with a
not
quad.
personally hit anybody, but I have been hit.
You've been in, okay.
Yeah.
Not
I mean,
fun.
I just checked a bunch of hockey players last week, like intentionally, but that was like an intentional crash where you hit the person. But yeah, I've never like hit anybody with a
Which, I
five
mean,
inch.
with the amount of flying you've done close to yourself, you've never had an accident of running into
Mm-mm.
yourself? Because you like flown through your legs and done a lot of stuff close to yourself over the years I've seen.
Yeah. I mean, I've only
Crazy.
like chopped my fingers up, but that was because I like tied my Blackout 330 to a bench because it wouldn't tune. It had like Castle Creations ESCs, and
Uh-huh.
it like would not tune. The loop speed was not fast enough, and it just kept oscillating and crashing and breaking props. And I got pissed, and I put it between two strings to hopefully like not crash, and it would hover. And I armed, and you had to flip it upright to arm it. And as soon as I armed, it just went full throttle. I didn't even touch anything. It went full throttle on one side and just like
Oh,
ripped across my
geez.
finger and like jacked my hand all up. You can't see anything. But when I got COVID, this thing swelled up to like the size of a golf ball, and it stayed that way for like 8 months. It was
Really?
not,
Wow.
yeah, it wasn't good.
That is crazy. Well, keep the questions coming, guys. We'll get to them as much as we can. I see Sean Poncer is in the chat. He says hi and what's up. So shout out to Sean. Here, I got another something. You'll probably recognize this one. It's a little more recent. Let's see. Oops.
I mean, I see an Apex arm.
Yeah.
I mean, I see a bind fly with some weird props on it.
Yeah,
You
I
need to
think
burn those props.
this was something that was sitting on the test bench. I think this was one of the first prototypes I think the team built before we built the final version. So it just
Oh
has
yeah, it's
whatever
got an
props on
Immortal L on it too. That was when
it.
I was running Crossfire, which is I still fly it, but not on
So then here's
freestyle quads.
the new version. Well, the version that is for sale. So this is the, for those who don't know, this is the fully pre-built Steel, like Mr. Steel Apex, essentially. So
Look at that balloon it comes in. Is it
yeah,
gonna
it's
float away?
fully shrink wrapped. It's waterproof. You can throw it in the water. But I mean, this is essentially. I mean, is this still like what you fly in terms of
Yeah, I mean I
parts?
have V4 motors now, but
Oh, right.
I still, which is funny actually. So we can talk about some stuff that's coming out this week.
Okay.
But yeah, the V4. I have V4 motors that are just more durable, more power, more efficiency, but at some cost. Obviously, I had to go up in weight to get all of those things. So it's like 1 gram heavier.
Mm-hmm.
But I still really like the V3 motor. So we're bringing it back at a cheaper price called the Legacy motor. It's the same exact motor. It's just a different colorway and it's cheaper.
Nice.
So yeah, we're going to hopefully have that out this week. They're ready to go. And I have that motor, which is that exact motor. And then the V4, which is like for, I don't know, I would argue like it's a smoother, more durable motor, but obviously it costs more and it's got more power and more efficiency. So it's like, I loved the lightweight of the V3.
Is
And
the V4 a different size, or is it the same
no,
size
it's
motor?
still 2306, but to gain the efficiency and the added power, we had to do something, and the bell design is what's different. So the stator design is roughly the same, except now we went 16 by 16 standoff. So like the bottom when you put in bolts at 16 by 16, we redesigned the base so that the pants are thicker and like don't crack in cold weather. Like obviously, first time of anything, you're gonna have some issues. It's not that that's an issue, but it's not the most durable thing. We were going for the lightest weight.
Just the motor we're talking about here?
That's the V4, yeah. So if you like click through, you can see, if you click through the pictures, like we made the pants larger. So that pant is like 30% bigger. It covers more around the motor.
Okay.
And then the bottom design is also, 16 by 16 instead of the standard 19 by 19, which is what I originally did on my V1, 2, and 3 motors. So we finally conformed and went to 16 by 16 just because it seems to be tried and true now, and you can save a tiny bit of weight. But yeah, those are like V4. That's the launch edition, which is red. And then there's obviously white, which is the stout. Now I inverted the colors. Black is for 4S, white is for 6S.
Nice.
And dang, you guys lower in prices, getting people in the door. I think we retail those for 29.
Really? I'll go check with the team. You guys we're getting away with murder here. Steele.
See,
well, I think the launch is 29.
Look at the white though. Look at the white one.
Let's see. Ethics V4 white $27.99.
$27.99. Dang. All right.
We'll
Well,
double
maybe
check.
they're 28. I'm robbing myself. It's okay.
Yeah. Guys, go buy them now before I change the price. Who knows? On that note, just so everyone knows, we are doing a discount code. Thanks to Mr. Steele for joining us tonight. We have a code that's live right now. It's called Mr. Steele. So if you add whatever you want to the cart, put in the coupon code Mr. Steele, you're going to save 7% on your order, and that's live right now. It'll be good for the next 6-7 days, week or so. And
is that spaces, capitals? Oh, it's like that. Okay.
Yeah, just Mr. Steele together. Capitals don't matter, but just no space. MrSteele, Mr. Steele. Maybe I'll make a second one called Mr. Steve, and it's only 5% off or something.
Sick.
Just in case.
And you can double those up.
Oh yeah. Combine them. They multiply. Yeah, even better now. So that is discount code right now, live, Mr. Steele. Thanks for everyone joining the stream, and thank you, Steele, for helping us make that possible. We're talking about products of the past and the future, and a little bit of what's going on now. I have one more for now, just to show, because I think this one's been in high demand for a long time. How about this one?
The Mambo.
Yeah,
it's the Ethics Mambo.
The Ethics edition, which. Yeah. This actually is not in stock. We have a few that haven't shipped because somebody's waiting on something else, but we've been, I think, permanently back ordered on these. It feels like
permanent.
They've sold out so quick that we haven't had a chance to get more in. I do appreciate that you can turn it all the way up to 11 on this style. What else makes this special for the Ethics edition? Is there anything different?
Different from the TBS one?
Yeah, from the standard one.
Well, like physically, as far as aesthetically, it's a dark gray instead of an all black, but it also comes with a different spinning wheel. Like the front wheel is black and a little bit more coarse. The stick ends are what's called the TBS crown jewels, which are, I turn them, like there's the top's kind of sticky, and then there's like two little kind of end cuts on the side. Okay. I don't know if you can see them, but there are like an hourglass end cut on the side of these things. And I end up turning them to where the hourglass is on the side. I don't use it how it's supposed to be used, but I actually use those stick ends, and I enjoy them. I think you can kind of see it. You might have to go front to back. So, you can see it right there, the hourglass. So it like contours your finger. It's pretty cool. Also, the switches come with these little the little rubber grips, so you get like red and black, 2 sets of each, so they slip over. They're not on that radio for some reason. I don't know.
That's in the box. I just took it right out of the box, so they just aren't
So it comes with like
pre-electronic.
silicone slips that go over the top. Comes with a grip tape that you can put on the radio to make it more grippy. It comes with a kickstand in the back. So generally, like I always run a kickstand on the back, so when I put the radio down, it doesn't sit on the crossfire module because I always have a crossfire module in the back. So there's a
Mhm.
little kickstand that's super well designed that pops out the back and then sits flush. And
I got
then
it, I
it
think, on the
also,
website
yeah,
here.
there you go. And there are the grippy things. You can see them up there, the red one.
Mhm.
And there are blacks obviously as well. And then the side grips are different. So the side grips have this like kind of line design in them, and they are more grippy than the ones that come on the TBS radio. And then also the knob itself, goes to 11, which is what you want. And then
Of
it also
course.
comes with extra gimbal springs, so you can put a softer gimbal spring in if you wanted to go softer on the gimbal springs. And that's,
Okay.
as far as I know, that's it. Oh, and it also comes with a lanyard. Comes with the Ethics lanyard. Yep, and a sticker pack.
And a sweet sticker pack.
Yeah, man.
I
I
never
mean,
had too many.
realistically, it's a lot of upgraded stuff considering the price difference. I think it's like a $30 price difference. It's like 149 versus 179, I think. Or do you get, what is it priced at? 189. So
189, yeah.
40, or I don't even know. I would say like $40 difference. But if you were to try to buy all that stuff, you'd have to hunt it all down. The
Right.
kickstand would be 15 or 20. The things would be like $5. The lanterns, whatever, $8. You'd end up spending the same amount. So
Plus, I'm assuming it helps support ethics and steel a little bit.
yeah, I mean, the whole thing with ethics is I'm just trying to, realistically keep cool products that are, a benefit, not just like, oh, well, we're going to put our name on it and make it, sell it. So like, I'm always trying to give it a product that people are going to actually use, and they like want to use it over something else because it has a certain benefit or a certain feature that makes it more user friendly. But then, the compromise is can we do that without, you know, increasing the cost too much? And at some point you just got to say, look, we got to make something on this. So with that one,
Sure.
we're not making much, but it's, it's fun. I guess it's like advertisement because it's a cool radio. A lot of people are going to use it, and it says ethics on it. So yeah, it's great design. And I've been working on something else with TBS for about 3 years now that hopefully will come out in the next, I hope, year. But
3 years, is that it? Wow.
yeah, I work on projects generally between 8 and like 20 months, depending on the project. Like the heated lipo bag was a 2-year project. Some of the lipo or some of the things that we have worked on, some stuff happens like real quick, but most of the stuff, 6 to 8 months. I mean, that's just how China works. You got to get a prototype, you got to ship it to America, and then you got to talk to somebody, and then the time difference is opposite. So like I'm awake at 3 o'clock in the morning, like trying to give them information, and they're like, "Oh, it's the middle of the day. I want to go to lunch," and it's just it can be difficult, but we get it done and it works. And having a relationship with Trappy for the last 7 years now since the beginning. I was the first TBS sponsored pilot ever, as far as like a mini quad is concerned. Trappy actually commented on one of my videos of me flying over a train, and I was like, "Hey, message me," and he like hit me up. I'm like, "Hey, if you guys ever need a mini quad pilot, that'd be cool." And I just R&D'd for them forever, and then built a relationship with them that turned into what it is now. But it's like I don't know. I enjoy it. I enjoy working with people that are excited about creating new stuff and changing the way that you interact with this cool hobby.
Yeah, definitely. And we all appreciate it. I mean, I can appreciate it. I know a lot of those projects, how much back and forth and time they take. But for those of us in the hobby that want to just fly, we take somebody like you that puts in that work and effort and back and forth and making a product that you really like, that in turn we'll all like as well. So that's really cool. And I'm glad that you're able to design products with people like that. We still have a lot of comments going on. Welcome everyone who's joining us. Skadoosh in the house, man. How you
Yeah,
doing?
Wesley Mills says, hey.
Wesley Mills, yeah. Huge shout out. Nice, thank you. First video. A couple people I've seen saying that Steele, you got them into FPV. That's got to be kind of cool.
Well, hey, you
Getting
guys should
people
call
into
Sean and blow him up because he got me into FPV.
we'll put them on later. Skateboarding. What else we gotta say? One guy
Steele
asked a
Davis.
question. Max asked, he had heard maybe you changed your arming settings now. Are you still doing the double arm switch, or is that different?
Yeah. So Um, I actually I flew the Tyrannus even though the TBS or the Ethics Mambo was out for a while, and the reasoning is because like timing just so happened to put me doing like really important feature film jobs the moment that the Tracer Mambo came out. So I was like, I don't feel like learning a new radio on a feature film. So I just kept flying my Tyrannus that I've been flying for 7 years. And then I ended up going on a couple more jobs, and I was like, you know what? Like this Tyrannus and like everything is just so bulky and big. I was tired of carrying it, and I just left it one day, and I brought the Mambo with me. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna force myself. This isn't that important of a job. I'm gonna make sure that I can, try to make sure. I mean, I know I can fly with any radio, but I'm just gonna make myself learn this thing. So I set it up, left my Tyrannus behind. I didn't have that crutch. Like I had brought it before, and then I always switched back to my Tyrannus because it was something I was familiar with.
Right.
And yeah, now I'm like fully switched. I actually brought my Tyrannus home and put it up on the shelf as like a collector's item. I don't use it anymore. So, but the Mambo, yeah, is like it's pretty awesome the way that I've got it set up right now. I just loosen the gimbals pretty much all the way and put a little bit of extra grip tape on it for the grip for
Nice.
extra grip.
Are you flying with Tracer, or are you using Crossfire still then?
On all the commercial stuff that I'm doing, I'm pretty much just flying Crossfire, and the reasoning is because we're flying DJI as far as video signal is concerned, and just Crossfire and DJI together, you can just go to the moon, and there's no real issues. And Tracer, I have done some range tests, and actually I did some stuff with Crossfire recently that I was a little skeptical on. Like I flew like really far away over some sketchy terrain that was like completely unrecoverable. And then I actually did the same thing on Tracer, like 5 seconds, like maybe 10 minutes later with a mini quad. Like I flew it first with a Komodo on Crossfire. And then I flew a mini quad Tracer, and I had no issues whatsoever. So I trust Tracer a lot more now as of like 2 weeks ago on long distance runs. But generally for freestyle, I do only fly Tracer mainly because it like reads your mind. So I know people are always telling
Is
me
that
to
because
try.
the latency you're saying is a little
Yeah.
lower on
Yeah.
Tracer?
The
Yeah.
latency on Tracer is like 3 milliseconds or something as far as what I've read. I know it's a noticeable difference between Crossfire and Tracer. And then when you fly on the TBS Mambo and you fly Tracer, well, the Crossfire and Tracer are lower latency when you fly on the Mambo, just because it's a native TBS product and it doesn't have to go through and like translate like it would on the Tyrannus. But yeah, the Tracer in the Mambo, like Tracer V3, I think it's Crossfire Shot V3, whatever that is. It's just V3. I can't remember the name of it at the moment because I've been doing so many other things. But that is noticeably faster as well over all the things. So when I fly the Mambo on Tracer, it's pretty much like light speed. I mean, it is actually light speed, but the return is very fast.
You should put on like an old PPM receiver just to see what it feels like. If it
Oh,
brings
I
back
can
some
fly
old
it for
memories.
sure. I mean, I fly some crappy. I'll get far away and like the signal will go to super low hertz and the video will get really choppy and it just feels like you're flying a bus and you're like barely seeing what you're doing and then things reacting like all gritty. So
Yeah. Awesome.
yeah.
Well, that is the products I have. I have something else prompted too that may spark some memories for you. This
See you,
is a
Rob.
few photos I had. Say again.
See you, Rob. It's Rob
Oh, see
Davis,
you, Rob.
dude.
Yep. Yep. Saw that. Hey, Rob.
You
This
got some photos?
is, yeah, check this out.
Oh
Does
man,
this bring
Masters
back
of
any
Freestyle.
memories?
Oh no, that's actually at XDC in Vegas.
Yeah,
Holy
this is
shit.
in Vegas.
I didn't even recognize myself. I was looking at you and Carlos and Chad. Oh my God.
So, were you in
XDC.
this event, or what was? Remind
No, we
people what
just
this
showed up.
was.
So XDC was going on. This was like at the Zappos. There's a
Yes.
Zappos building in Vegas, I guess, and like they rented out the center courtyard of it and built all this night track stuff. And like Chad and I don't remember why we went out there, but we went to Vegas for some odd reason. and we stayed at this dude Jason Boslow's house. He just like let us straight up stay at his house. It was so amazing. And he wasn't there. He was like on a job somewhere, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, you guys can stay at my house." And this dude, like, it's a good story. So let me preface all of that. So we
Good.
went to the airport to get on a plane to go to Vegas. It was a Spirit flight. We got there. I drove like an hour away from the airport. My parents drove us there, dropped us off. We were going to get on the plane at like 8 o'clock. That plane got canceled. I got a new ticket on Frontier. They said that plane was supposed to leave at 9, but it was delayed till 11. So Chad and I went and got dinner. We get to the airport or the gate at like 10:50, and they're like, "Oh no, it's gone. It left at 8." So we spent the night in the airport, and we did the whole, if you fly a drone in a train, like what will happen. So like in the Atlanta airport, we did the plane train. So like we hovered a mini quad, and then the train started going, and the mini quad stayed in place. It was pretty dope. We did that like because we spent the night in the airport. We're the only people there. And then our bags ended up going there, and this guy named Jameson Malpezzi, he lives in Vegas, a buddy of mine. He used to work for Newbie Drone for a while.
Mm-hmm.
He grabbed our bags, and we met up with him the next day when we got there and got our bags back. And like I've known Jameson since then. We're still really good friends. And then we were in Vegas. We stayed at Jason Boslow's house. And then we went to this event for some reason. And, all the like big name race pilots were there. Like Brain Drain was there. I think Maddie Stunts was there.
I remember that. I remember the course had like flamethrowers in it or something.
Yeah, there's like legit like pyro going on. It's Vegas. Yeah. I mean, what do you expect? Some real
like quads were melting.
Yeah. My mustache was like full dolly right there. It's like extra pointy.
Here we go. Let me zoom in a little bit. There we go.
Oh yeah, look at that thing. That's like a raptor claw attached to my. What the hell? I see my crow's feet at 26 or whatever I was. No, I was like 25 at that point.
Yeah, I would have been 5-6 years ago. Yeah. All right, I got some more. Let's keep going. Right. This one's recognizable, right?
Yep. That's the Office Space, and that was for the end of the Freestyle Masters of Freestyle
Expo,
event. Right? Yeah, F3 Expo. Yeah. So flight test, and all of us went out to the spot, and we flew. I think like the FT. What was it called? Like the FT Flyer or something?
Oh, that's right. I talked about it with John last week as well, and we were like, yeah, Josh was out there learning, and we were showing him how to fly like quads that weren't awful, and
yeah, and they were flying like through the GoPro. They would just straight up plug in a GoPro.
300 milliseconds of latency, and it was
Yeah, and there's Provo, which I just saw Provo at I/O. That was sick.
Did you? And, awesome! I haven't talked to him in a long time.
I know. I was like, what the hell, Provo? He had all the dopest shoes ever. I was like, what are your shoes? He had always had like fresh kicks walking around. I asked him, and he's like, oh, these are just shoes, man. People comment on them all the time, but he still flies.
A lot of shoes.
And Stingy. There's Freybot. That's like the OG Atlanta crew. We're just Who are we missing? There's like 5 of us originally. Maybe not. Yeah. Schizo, Kevin, me, Freybot, and then Chris Brand, but he wasn't there, I guess. And then we have Sharpoo, which is looking fresh.
There. He was in town, and then I was visiting too. I got to hang out with you
and
guys.
Chad, yeah, that's sick.
Cool, all right, how about this one? This one remind you of anything?
Drone Nationals 2016, and that's Sharpoo and I just doing some weird commentary during the race. Dude, I have like a Lord Farquaad haircut going on. What's going on there?
So what was this, like an actual TV broadcast, or what were you guys doing?
I don't know. I don't even know. They just said, "Hey, do you guys want to do this?" And we got on there and shot the shit for 10 minutes. I don't even remember who was doing it or what it was for. I just was told to put on a mic and sit, and I did. And I actually still have that hat. I think I wore it yesterday.
Nice.
Things all faded out.
It was quite the event to be like in New York City and taking a boat over to an island to go fly, and like,
yeah. It was, do you remember the video transmitter that was in the top of a building, like facing the island, and we thought it was DRL, like trying to mess with us?
Oh yeah, because Anthony from Immersion was there, kind of doing all the RF stuff, and there was some challenging stuff to run a race, as you can imagine, near New York City and all the Wi-Fi that was going on. And I think that's what he said. There was some like high gain directional antenna pointing at us at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. We like tuned in. You could get a patch and like turn towards the city, and you could literally see a little FPV camera, like just in a window facing the island for some reason, transmitting at whatever it was, 2 watts or some shit.
Crazy. All right. That's a good one. I got a couple more.
F3 Expo interview time with Josh. Yeah, that was rad.
Yeah. That's actually
Alex.
still on YouTube. If you guys Google it, you'll find it. There was one of the
Yeah,
channels put
Alex
some videos
interviewed
of that.
me.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I
I
just
think
watched
that
it.
full interview is up there as well, right? With all of us.
Yes, I think it is. I'm
Yeah.
blanking on the name of the channel, but if you Google it, you can probably find it. How about when was this?
That was recently. That was like right before COVID, right? When I was down there for the
Yeah, you were down here in person visiting us.
yeah, I think I originally went to Cletus McFarland's Freedom Factory. He had like the drift rivals or continental rivals, something
Oh, that's right.
rivalry.
You're down here shooting. I think that was actually the video I had on the intro where you were chasing the
Yep.
car.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
from that. Yeah.
awesome. And then this is another F3 Expo.
Yeah, man. It's a lot of that's a sick
Cap,
photo. Yeah.
Capper, there's
Capper and
Anthony.
Anthony. Super selfie. It's so funny how shitty the cameras were back then. Like I don't even know what kind of phone that was. I'm assuming it was like an iPhone 4, but it's
Probably.
just like
But
so
the frontward camera was awful. Yeah.
I'm sure that was the backward camera because it's wide angle. Oh, I know
Oh,
what it was actually. There was these things called Olo clips that you could clip onto the iPhone and it would give you a wide angle or macro or a zoom
oh,
lens,
okay.
and that's an Olo clip. Back in the day, like you'd have to clip it on there and it would only work on the back facing camera. So that is definitely what that is.
I don't know
Oh
that one.
my
What
god.
about
Look, I
this?
just like waiting for a T-Rex to come out of the woods.
What's funny is this is Hawaii for those who don't know at Kulua Ranch and where Drone Worlds ended up happening. Steele, you and the guys went here previous to the event, but
Yep.
this location now, ever since I've seen your videos and Drone Worlds there, I
Uh-huh.
can't believe how many commercials and movies shoot here, and it's so obvious when I see it now. I'm like, oh, that's Kulua Ranch, that's Kulua Ranch.
Yeah.
But before that, you'd have no idea, you know.
Yeah,
But
it is
very
ridiculous how frequent they film there. I mean, when we were there, they had 3 films going on during the time that we were there.
wow. So for those, tell people that maybe don't know, what were you guys doing there? You guys were kind of doing an FPV exploration, or what was it?
So originally, Drone Nationals happened in 2015 in Sacramento, California, and Chad Nowak, which is the guy in the middle of this picture with the goggles on, he won it. He won the freestyle, and he won the team event, and he won the actual race event. He like just cleaned everybody out. He won $25,000 total by this guy named Scott Refslin, which was like the main dude that ran Drone Nationals. He had a company called Drone Nationals.
Yep.
Anyways, he was in talks with Chad after that to try to do Drone Worlds, even though technically Drone Nationals was Drone Worlds because there were international pilots from all over the world that went to that event, including the guy that won that was from Australia. That was not national. But anyways, he wanted to do Drone Worlds in Hawaii to like make it crazy because at this time, like drone racing, no one had really done any kind of big events. There was
Yeah, it
GRL,
was
but like,
early on. It was like Wild West. Everyone was just trying to see how big you could make it, kind of. Yeah.
yeah. And DRL hadn't done anything yet. So he's like, hey, Chad, we're going to go to Hawaii and like get private helicopters and fly around and go from island to island and just scope out areas to potentially hold Drone Worlds. Do you want to go? And he's like, yep. But I don't really want to go alone. And, you know, they kept talking back and forth. And then I think Tim got invited and Tim was like, hey, I'm going to invite one of my pilots. So he invited Sharpoo. And then, you know, it just
Tim
became this like
Tim was
back and
actually the one
forth.
who he funded the whole trip. I don't know if you knew that, but that was out of
No,
Tim. Yeah.
no, I didn't know that. But
Because Tim, joined Scott Refsland and was like part
yeah, they
owner
had
and
Rotor
drone.
Sport, right?
Yeah,
Rotor
Rotor
Sport.
Sports or whatever it was. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, but then moral of the long story short, a bunch of who's bigger, whose stuff is bigger, went back and forth with who could bring who, and then just like everyone ended up coming. So you have like Juz, which is the guy on the left. You have Carlos in
Yeah.
the chair. You got Tim Refslin, or sorry, not Tim Refslin, Tim Nielsen right there with his hand up. You got Chad Nowak, who's his Final Glide Oz in the middle with the goggles on, and then you got myself standing there with my little chesty, and then you got Oh My God on the far right, and that's not including like Sweep Wings. Ruben Hattergy was there. I don't even know. I'm trying to
Well,
think
it's
who
funny.
else was
This, I
there.
mean, this is basically the precursor to the original Rotor Riot crew,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, exactly. And then Chad Capper ended up going as well. And we had everyone there. We had Carlos, Chad, myself, like Nowak, myself,
Right.
and oh my God. You know, we talked over that trip about, hey, you know, at this time I was like super stoked on flight test. I was like, Chad, a lot of this is Capper. I was like, Capper, a lot of the stuff that I learned was from Flight Test. And he's like, yeah, Flight Test is dope. I, moved away from it. I'm not with them anymore, but I'd like to do another channel. Then like a few months later, I ended up calling him one night on a DRL shoot. And I was like, hey, let's try to figure this out. I got the guys that you should that you should bring on to this Rotor Riot. It should be Chad Nowak, Sharpoo, Tommy, oh my God, and myself. So I like facilitated all that, and then all of us brought in all the sponsors and like all the connections to the mini quad world, and then Chad kind of brought in the funding to create Rotor Riot, and then it morphed into what it did for that 2 years that it was like crazy and everybody was into it. And then slowly people started to leave, and now it's still a thing, and everyone's kind of done their own personal things and gone amongst themselves. Like Chad doesn't fly that much anymore, and Sharpoo doesn't fly anymore. And oh my God, runs his own.
Tommy's got his own company now, pretty much doing his brand and stuff. So I mean, it's cool. It's cool for me to be, as part of the industry back then, and just see kind of the growth and how you guys started and where you're at today. So I thought that was kind of a fun photo. I got this one too. Do you remember this event?
Yeah, that's actually the Gates of Hell DRL. First DRL shoot ever that they had no idea what the hell they were doing at all. Completely no idea. And that was the first time I ever saw a Jetty in person, which is what that radio is.
I remember that radio too.
Ross Kirker holding that thing up, like basically taunting me with it. And then I ended up getting sponsored by Jetty and flew it in the winter and realized that a solid metal radio is not the way to go because it's just cold all the time. And the range was terrible because FR Sky was cheating on 2.4 and using 40% of the duty cycle, where like legally you're only allowed to use 11% of this frequency's duty cycle. So anyways, there was no way that any other radio could compete on range. And I was sponsored by Jetty for a while and it didn't work out. But that was the first time I saw one. And then Tommy wearing masks upside down before they were cool.
And, I mean, it's funny. We're in COVID days now. You don't even think about it, but that was, that was just because it was like so dirty and dusty out there, or what?
Yeah, you took a quad off and you can see the quads right there, the bricks. Like, who the hell designed those giant, like, yeah, there it is. Look at that thing. It's like a dead cat brick, literally a brick. And it was like a rear mounted battery, and it had like 1,000 LEDs on it. It was a 6-inch quad and just had low kV motors.
I think flying like 2208 Cobras or something?
Yeah, 2206 Cobras. Yeah, they were like 2100 kV. Ridiculous. And then like, you got X Hover right there in the middle, and Ross Kirker, and there's oh my God, and then I can't remember that dude's name, but he hated me, the guy on the left with the mask on. He never liked me for some reason. I think it was because they had this girl on this shoot, and this is not sexist at all, but they brought a girl in for diversity because it's all usually just dudes. And she can fly, but during this event, they had her boyfriend fly for her, and then she would act like she was flying when they would do the B-roll stuff.
Oh, I remember that.
And I commented on it. I was like, what the hell is going on? Why are you faking that? Like, you can fly. And she's like, oh, I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable. I'm like, well, don't, like, I just hated it. Like, if you're going to do something, like, actually try and crash. Because it's not like we were actually racing. We were doing, like, piece by piece. We were doing, like, sections.
A promo, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a real race. Right. But that was fun.
I think that's the end I got of the photo. So that was kind of fun. Thanks for bringing up some memories there. Why don't we look at the chat a little bit, see if we can answer a few questions before we get too long here. I'm going to scroll up. Do you have any ones you want to answer here that you've been seeing, Steele? Yeah, I don't know.
RCA plugs the video. Oh, I'm just looking through here. Freaking Guillermo's in here going crazy. He's always in here. He is like the most consistent internet interaction person ever. Guillermo has been interacting with me since like 2014.
Nice. Good to see you have some fans following you. That's cool.
Yeah, man. He's steady camming hard in South America.
I'll do a few shout outs. We got Whoop Squad, Bobby Braggs, Drew Graham. Thanks for joining, guys. Yeah, Max, Double A, True Blood. Let's see. So Max is asking, you've been traveling a lot for some jobs recently, and I know you've been doing a lot of commercial work. He's asking, will there be any videos from your journey coming out? Do you have anything to share?
Yeah. Here, while I'm telling that story, Skadoosh sent you a bunch of OG pictures to your Facebook chat.
Oh, nice. Let me go take a look.
Hopefully they're not like random porn pictures. You're just like sending nudes over. Yeah, so I've been traveling quite consistently for the last 3.5 months now. So I drove my van out to LA, or I drove it out to Vegas originally to hang out with a chick and to look at houses because I wanted to buy a second house somewhere in Vegas to specifically to climb. And I got out there and it was like it was a heat wave. Like right when I got there, it was 120 degrees every single day I was there. I had a Airbnb booked for like 3 weeks, and I ended up getting out of it like a week early. And Eric Konasti had a job up in Santa Cruz, so I drove my van from Vegas up the one to Santa Cruz and worked with him. And then I ended up coming back down to LA after I went up to Shasta and hung out with a buddy, um, and met up with Chad Daring, which is a guy that works with a company called Lightcraft. And they had me go fill in for Alex Vanover and Jet, which is Jordan Timken, on this feature film in New Orleans. It's like I don't really know if I can say on the internet, but it's a really big, huge director, huge main lead actor film. And I went down there and worked for a while, came back, worked on a bunch of other stuff since then. And yeah, I mean, I've just been all over the place. A lot of LA, a lot of Louisiana, a lot of Chicago, just a lot of stuff. But as far as videos are concerned, I haven't been flying a lot of freestyle, mainly because I have to carry all my gear with me, and I have like these professional rigs, and generally I'm flying a Komodo. So like when I go on a set, I'm not flying a GoPro at all. I'm always flying like a Finster or some kind of like ducted drone with a Komodo on it, or I'm flying either Jet's frame, which is like an 8-inch by coaxial octocopter that carries a Komodo, and we're doing, you know, whatever ridiculous either long range like mountain dives or bridge stuff or car chases, or I've also been flying this crazy prototype drone that's like a huge massive thing that carries a Komodo, and it's stabilized, and it's like really really cool and very heavy and very dangerous. But all that stuff's been going on, and as far as freestyle is concerned, like I don't fly that much in LA just because it's kind of hard. Maybe I'm just apprehensive to make it easy, because I know like in Atlanta, like I can go down the street to any park and there's all these obstacles, where in LA, like you go to a park and there's like a couple trees and maybe it's like, I don't know, it just doesn't appeal to me, even though it is cool sometimes. But I have been flying a lot as like when I'm not flying a Komodo and they're doing something else, I will pop up a mini quad and just fly around and have fun exploring. So I'm not like doing crazy flippy floppy freestyle. So like the video that I just posted yesterday or 2 days ago now was me flying around some windmills.
Yeah, I
So
saw
like
that one.
we got some permission to go film windmills for this documentary that was being shot. So I flew Komodo, and then they flew like Heavy Lift, which is like an Alta X with a Gemini on it. It's like a $250,000 aircraft that's flying around these windmills. It's ridiculous. I mean, the camera body's 80,000 alone, and then the drone 25, and the lens is 50. It's just like it just gets up there. And then so I flew mini quads around that stuff, and then we went to like solar fields, and we went to Bixby or a bridge in California, and I flew all these things with mini quads, and it's just like exploring videos. But since I've been home, I have flown a little bit of freestyle in my house, and I'm going to go out this weekend and fly some freestyle. So hopefully I will have some of that for you guys.
Nice.
I do want to vlog. I see this Ramil guy said, I got to vlog it up. I want to, but I can't on these sets, because it's like, it's all.
Yeah, they're so locked down,
the
aren't they?
Yeah, like I could, but it's like I would have to not tell you where I was or what's happening, and then depending on if I'm under pressure to like perform for like a job, then I gotta be like, oh, I can't just be holding a camera and then say, oh, you gotta go now, and I got comms on and like goggles on my head. Yeah, I need to do some product videos where I actually talk about some stuff that's come out recently, like what I'm flying now, because I've switched to FET Tech in the last year, and I haven't made a build video specifically stating like what my PIDs and rates are and like all that stuff and what firmwares I'm using. And then,
Right.
the V4 motor has come out, and then the TBS Mambo has come out, and all of these things that I've switched. The GoPro Hero 10 has come out. I'm just, either flying a session or Hero 10. Yeah, there's a lot of like nonsense that's happened in the last year that I haven't been doing, mainly because I've either been traveling or dealing with other things.
Sure. On the commercial shoots, like for movies or whatever you'd be shooting, what kind of shots are they looking for? Like, what are you doing that is useful for a drone that they couldn't get, with some other contraption? Are they replacing a different shot with a drone shot? Are they adding a drone shot that didn't exist before? What do you notice?
I mean, when you go into production, generally they try to replace everything with the drone. They think of the drone as like magic.
Okay.
And they're like, oh yeah, arm car, we don't need that. Yeah, no, we don't want Steadicam. We're just gonna replace everything with a drone. So, when you go to like this last shoot that I was on, it was hockey style, like hockey players basically, and they were, in a hockey rink and they're skating back and forth, like maybe 2-3 guys on the hockey rink at the same time, and they're like, yo, we want to fly Komodo. And I'm like, in this closed environment, like I was expecting GoPro. And luckily the GoPro 10 had like literally come out the day that we were shooting. So we went and got a couple of those and we started shooting 4K 120, which is really nice. But they're like, yeah, we want Komodo. And I'm like, all right, well, you do realize that the limitations of this camera are not necessarily the camera's fault. It's because it weighs so much. And the drones are like, you want a smaller drone to be able to fly in this kind of environment, get around people and not worry about crashing into them. So you have to fly these ducted drones that have a 5-inch propeller and you're like 7 pounds at 5-inch propeller. And it just doesn't really handle that well. So like, I would get, 40 to maybe 80 seconds of flight time, like depending on how hard I'm flying. So like a minute and a half, like from the moment I take off, you got 40 seconds to rip and then that's it. So there's a lot of limitations with the gear specifically at the moment, mainly because we haven't gone to higher voltage. We're still working with 6S. Which sounds like a lot, but when you're talking about something heavy like that, you need 8, 12, 10, something high. You need probably 12S to be fair, but the electronics are not currently there realistically. Like there are some ESCs currently working on something at the moment that should help that problem. Like I'm building my own Cinelifter style drone that hopefully will get rid of all the bullshit that most of these Cinelifters do. Cause I feel like people are just throwing stuff at the wall again, like they did with, it feels like the Cinelifter thing to me feels like when mini quads first started and everyone was like, I can build one of those. And they just like throw stuff at this design board and then just like scrape something off and like throw it to market. Like that's how the Cinelifter stuff feels. So like I'm, collecting information on all the stuff that's out there and being like, yeah, that doesn't really work that well. This is the problem with it in the real world. And I'm going to hopefully end up making something that suits, it's not going to be a massively popular thing just because it's cynical. Like nobody's flying Komodos for fun. But at the end of the day, like I want it to fly the way that I want it to fly and interact with the way that I think it should interact. Like when I go to change this, or if like I want to change like power, or I want to power of axis or something like that to output video back to the video village, then I want all of that stuff on plugs and I want it to be easily accessible. I need it to weigh a little compared to some of the stuff that's out there right now. And then you need a ducted version as well that flies for more than 40 seconds. So there's a lot. I mean, it does fly a little longer, but depending on the lens you have, and obviously with hockey players, these were like really good guys. So they were skating at 30, 40 miles an hour and then stopping on a dime and making crazy shots. And I'm doing the same thing with a drone. But to answer your question, they're basically just wanting GoPro footage that you would see, that you have seen for the last 5 years with a Komodo. So they want like the same exact aggression, the same exact like close to things, the proximity. They want all of that, and they want it with a Komodo, and they want to pay the rates of a GoPro. But luckily, it's picked up where the rates are realistic. That's kind of the reason I started doing it this year, is because it's gotten so popular that now the rate of like what you get paid to fly a Komodo, which is, a $7,000 camera, and then you got a $2,000 lens, and you got a $2,000 aircraft. You got to have insurance for that. You have to have all these like things in place to be able to fly something like that, batteries for support.
Not to mention all of your own time to build that skill to be able to fly it, too.
Yeah. Well, that's like what we were saying, like Chad. I know so many Chads. I deal with so many Chads. I have like a thing with Chads. Generally, I don't trust Chads, but this is the third Chad and 3 is my lucky number. So hopefully he's good. But Chad Daring, he was telling me the other day, this is the guy that works with Lightcraft that ended up linking me up. I've known him forever. He worked with HeliNet back in the day, which is another drone company. They do full scale stuff. And he was like, you're basically getting paid now on set for what you've been doing and learning for the last like 7 years. So it's like all that time and effort that you've accumulated in learning a skill, you're basically getting paid for all of that like at once. now versus like trickling in over the last 4 or 5 years, because there was no real way to make a living out of this aside from racing or like designing products and getting some kind of commission from it.
Right.
So like being able to just go out and fly.
I mean, I think you were probably one of the few pilots that's kind of made a career out of FPV. You know, there's only a handful, I would say, that have even made it possible. You've
Yeah.
seemed to do a good job off of it, and then have been able to get some commercial work kind of in parallel with that. But it sounds like maybe, like you're saying, some of that is now translated into like real commercial work. Not real. Did you get that fly? Oh, look at that! Wow, Mr. Miyagi over there. Chopsticks.
Yeah, I mean, I was one of the first to make. Actually, I think I had the first mini quad ever where I flew on a commercial set, and it was a GoPro job in late 2014. It was like November 2014. I flew a mini quad on a GoPro Red Bull Ford shoot. And that was like, I think the first time that someone had flown a mini quad like professionally.
Okay.
I actually did it for free the first time in Crandon, Wisconsin. I flew at like a trophy truck race, which you've seen like Vanover. He's posted a lot of that stuff recently, but I did that in like 2014. And then they liked it so much that they hired me to do a job with James Stewart, which is a supercross rider. So we went to Orlando and shot at his personal compound, and I chased him with a blackout mini H with a GoPro 3 black, 3 plus, I think 3 plus black, or maybe it was the 4 black launch. I remember back then they had this camera that they would like de-loosen the lens to get it to focus close, like to get that, like that fake bokeh. It was real bokeh, but it was mainly because the lens was focused super close. So they would like get like DSLR style shots. You know, they would do it on I think the guy that I use, Will Posey, he used like this rampy slide thing, and he would like slide up to stuff and it would be focused like real close, and they twisted the lens to do that. But anyways, all that stuff happened, and then I did it for a while and got kind of old because you're doing a lot of travel. It's also shitty when you're by yourself. When you roll up to a set and you're like all by yourself, where with all these light craft jobs, I got a tech and an aerial DP. So if I like need somebody to run interference on this director that's coming at me, trying to get me to do something, and if I tell him no, he's like, well, you don't know anything. You're just a pilot. But if the aerial DP says, hey, like this is physically impossible, or, maybe let's try this instead of that. So it's a little better. And then the tech, changing my batteries, it's awesome. This is the only reason I'm doing it, is because it's just awesome like a team now. Yeah, cool. You roll up with people that you enjoy being with, and you get the job done. You like look professional. The shots are cool. Like it's fun flying with a Komodo, to be fair. Like I love the shots.
What have the reactions been from like the directors or whatever? Like has everyone been like, wow, this is what I thought it was? Or is it more than what they expect? Or like what's the reaction from people who maybe don't know FPV, but they've heard that they need this in their, shot for some reason or something?
Yeah, there's always like one person on every production that knows about FPV, and everyone else is kind of like, I don't know, let's see what that guy's all about. And they'll, go look at some videos, and they'll see like the best of the best that took hours and hours to get a shot. And then they're like, we need this now. We have 5 minutes to get it. And that was shot with a GoPro, but I want you to fly that Komodo through that dude's legs and then
through the window. Yeah.
And then go through the window. Yeah. So there's some unrealistic expectations that are met with some compromises that, you can do a similar shot. It just can't be the exact same shot. And I think at the end of the day, most people are pretty satisfied with the stuff that we're able to get, especially considering how large the camera is. But it does take a lot of experience. It's not necessarily that flying a Komodo is hard, or, that people can't afford it. Like I think most people that fly mini quads could easily fly a Komodo and get some cool shots. But like when you fly that and you need to know like the weight differential, like how fast is this thing going and how much time do I need to stop it in this particular environment? So like I'm at 4,000 feet elevation. You got to like test these things. It's kind of like getting into a new vehicle and like understanding the limit of grip, like on a race car or something like that. You have to be able to adapt, and it takes a lot of experience to be able to adapt quickly to a new environment and a new aircraft. Because it's not like I'm sitting around flying these Komodos every day. Like I just fly them on set. Like I don't go out and practice with them. So when I go out on set, I have to adapt to it quickly. I have to adapt the environment. And like, that's just the experience of flying for 7 years a lot. that I'm able to pick up. Like I remember back in the day, people were like, "Oh, well, it's just your quad that's making you fly well." I'm like, "Give me your crap quad. I will fly it just
Mhm.
as hard as I'm flying mine. Mine just feels better in the air." So,
Have you had any crashes with the Komodo? Have you destroyed anything yet?
mm-mm,
That's good.
no,
Probably bound
yeah.
to happen eventually, but
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, had a rough landing, but it didn't break anything. Like I just came in and the battery literally just shit the bed.
coming in hot.
This is when we were figuring out that the batteries only lasted a minute and 20 seconds. And I'm like coming in at 1:30 and it's just like lands. So,
Yeah, I got the photo ready from Skadoosh here. See if this rings a
oh,
bell.
snap. Holy crap. That's that freaking China trip. That's old. That was a fun trip. I don't even know who that guy is. My mustache is so flat and wide. And I had
So
glasses at the
what
point.
were you doing in China? What was going on?
So a guy on the bottom left, if you look in that picture, very bottom left. Those no, not very bottom left. Where is he? I think it's maybe not. Maybe he's not in the picture. That's Zong right there to my
Yeah,
right
yeah. This is I
or to
recognize
my
him.
left. Yeah. So anyway, and there's Sean Taylor and his
Hmm.
wife June.
Yeah,
Uh,
she's over there.
yeah, and then Skadoosh right there and Chad. I don't know if I know the other guys, but anyways, we got invited out there by he's gonna be pissed at me. I can't remember his name, but one of these dudes invited us out there to go fly. Like I don't remember if it was to like accompany them at a race or something, but it was for the Chinese. Like it was funded by the Chinese government. Um,
I
and
remember that.
they
Yeah.
ended up taking us to all these weird places. Like we flew into Shanghai. We like hung out in Shanghai for a couple days, and then we went to like Berlin, and then we went to the Great Wall of China for a couple days, and then we went to Hangdian Studios, which is like a replica of the Forbidden Temple in China. It's where they shoot all these films that are based on the
Right. The
super
history
old
of it.
China,
Yeah.
yeah, where they have this temple, this is whatever you call it, like a forbidden temple. Well, they have like a complete replica of it to be able to film at it because they can't film at the real one. And we went and flew there as well.
That's cool.
And yeah, it was just like a different experience. Like I'd never been to China before. We met up with T Motor and had lunch with them. And I think my most memorable experience from that trip, which was also it just stuck with me the longest time, was I didn't really know what to eat because I'm vegetarian. I'm not super picky. Like I eat a lot of really cool things and I don't just eat like hamburgers or not hamburgers, like fake meat, like
Hmm.
impossible burgers. I actually eat a lot of vegetables. And when we went there, same thing with Dubai as well. Like the standard there in China was egg and tomato were like that was like my deep meal of choice because it was like one of the only meals that I could eat safely. I'd just say egg and tomato. It's like a classic dish.
Yeah, I
And
had that a few times when I was there. It's good
yeah,
actually.
it's really good. I was surprised when they first told me about it. I was like, I don't know. This sounds kind of sketchy, but I don't really like cooked tomatoes. But it came out and it was great. And one time we went to lunch after this race that was held within earshot of like really big military airport. Like we were chilling, and this airport was like there were planes that were bigger than 747s taking off like less than a mile away, and they were
Wow.
like just coming right over the top of this race course, and we were flying. It was a golf course. We set up, flew there, and during this we got shut down and we all went to lunch. Like, and the guys, it's a big thing in China to they just order everything on the menu so that you have something to eat because it's so cheap. Like literally, you can order every single thing on a Chinese restaurant's menu for like $100. So they would just say, just get one of everything. And they brought out the first dish they brought out and put in front of me was like, it looked like they took a chicken, defeathered it, and then just straight up karate chopped it perfectly down the middle, like a split
Uh-huh.
section of a chicken. Took the other half and just laid it sideways, so it was like cut down the middle, and it was served chilled. So it was a
Nice.
cooked chicken with no things, like half a chicken laying on a plate. And that was what they brought out for the first dish, and they put it right in front of me, and I was like, "Well,
Are you
I'm
eating
not."
one of those like this community style table where they have it like on a
No, this
lazy
was like in a
Susan or
booth. So
no?
I was like
Oh,
stuck
okay.
in this booth, and there were like 6 people next to me. This is before COVID, obviously. And they
Hmm.
slid the chicken over in front of me, and I was like, That smells a little crunchy. I'm not getting into that. So I didn't eat that day. I didn't eat that meal, at least. I was a little put off by that
My
chicken.
first meal with a vendor when I was in China, it was a pigeon. We went out and had pigeon. So that was my
You mean
first time
rock
ever.
dove?
Sure, rock dove. It looked like pigeon.
It was pigeon for sure.
Yeah, that was fun. I have one other thing I wanted to do. Let's see if this works. I have one of your videos that's pretty popular. I wanted to see if maybe you could just talk through the video a little bit about the
Oh yeah,
flight, the location.
Skadoosh. I remember he bought me some noodles, and I had no way to eat them, so I used two 6-inch props as a
Props as
chopsticks.
chopsticks. That's awesome.
I was on that abandoned island. There's like an industrial island. I just saw it in a movie like last night, actually. There's like an
Wow,
abandoned island. It's like an industrial center. We flew there. We rode a riot.
very
But
cool.
anyways,
Let me see if this works. Let's see. So this is one of your videos. Do you see it streaming here as well?
yeah, that's the Germany when we flew at the Continent
Mm-hmm. So I was
factory.
just going to have it play in the background. Maybe you talk over a little bit about the spot and some of your flying here and what it was like.
Yeah, so there's a company called SpinFast that's in Germany, and they like orient themselves around, I guess, drone events or drone. I don't know. They do commercial stuff as well. But anyways, Martin or Martine, we like to call him. He's like the main dude of SpinFast. He invited us over to Germany to go to CeBIT with him, which is basically like CES of the United States. It's like a
Okay.
big tech conference. It's called CeBIT. It's like big in Europe, but it's held in Hanover, Germany. And he paid for Eric Konasti and I, which is the other co-owner of Ethics. He paid for us to go to Germany. We flew over and he put us up in like one of his buddies' houses. And like after CeBIT or during the actual show, we would, do stuff at the show and hang out. And then the days we were off, we would go fly random places. And this was one of the places that they took us. And it's like an old abandoned Continental tire factory. And they obviously repainted this water tower because I think it's still in use. But I stuck a sticker on it. This was the second time I had ever stuck a sticker
That's
onto
cool.
anything. It's still there, apparently. They've completely demolished the entire everything else, but the sticker is still there. That was kind of scary.
That spot. Yeah, you like video completely went out. Where you like thought you lost it, or did
No,
you?
I just landed. I was like, oh, I know it's gone, but it'll come back when I take
All
off.
right.
Because I had crossfire and 5.8, so like
Okay.
crossfire is more than adequate. And then this, I flew in that building and there was a dude in there dancing. I guess like I've had to examine this video a few times since then, but there was this guy dancing in there with a date, I guess, and he got really pissed off that I was flying. But this is like an abandoned place. Like technically,
Right.
you're not supposed
Oh
to
yeah,
be
I
in
see
there,
him.
and because they're inside, it's actually worse than us flying it. So like if cops came, this is, dangerous, like being in
Right.
that abandoned building. So like if he were to get caught, he would get in trouble. And he got pissed and like started throwing rocks at me. And I have another
you,
video.
you didn't know he was in there like when you started
No,
flying
I
then.
didn't. I mean, I'm flying analog. Like I could tell
Right.
something was over there, but I couldn't tell it was a human dancing. I had to like review the GoPro footage afterwards to even tell what was going on. And I think the YouTube comments are where I actually understood that it was a person dancing. But then
So they
there's like a
turned this into
skate
a
park in there.
skate park inside. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I
cool.
mean, it's Germany. It gets cold over there. But the cool part about this was it would get dark at midnight. So like this was probably like 10 o'clock at night and it's like still light right now. It was the coolest thing ever because I guess it's
Oh wow.
such high elevation or high latitude
Yeah.
that it was to a point where it would become dark super late because it was the middle of the summer because the days are the longest. But obviously in the winter you're dealing with like 5 hour days.
500 days. Yeah. That's cool. Well,
That's
this video's had a lot of views. I thought it was a really cool video and
yeah.
unique spot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Is this one of
surprised.
your favorite spots to fly? You really is that
This was a
memorable
dope
for you?
spot. Yeah, this
Yeah.
was one of my favorite spots I've ever flown. It's gone now. They just demoed it, but I was surprised at how much penetration we were getting. So I'm flying Crossfire and analog, and like this,
Hmm.
the title of the video is like why you should fly 800 milliwatts freestyle, like on video,
Yeah.
and it's gotten a lot of views. I think it's like 3 or 4 million, and
Wow. Crazy.
it's just crazy. Like considering where I'm standing and how clear the video is, and through all that concrete and all those bricks,
Yeah.
it's
Pretty
pretty.
impressive.
It is, yeah, it's very impressive.
Phantom FPV says, "What up, Andy and Steele?" You remember who Phantom is?
Oh yeah, I know
Oh
Phantom.
yeah. He's been a follower for a while. Cool, man. Good to see you, Phantom.
Do you know him personally?
I do. Yeah, he's been around the area.
He's a fancy man. Fancy man. Where them boats at? Ryan, you need to get on some boats. He's got a boat. He just moved. I hope your new house is rad.
Nice.
Yeah. The
Well,
Rock.
thanks for talking through this video. This was a cool video to watch.
This was actually harder.
Really
I crashed, but that was harder than it looked. Going downstairs like that, like spiraling over the
Yeah, I
handrails.
imagine. I mean, you probably have a little bit of up tilt on your camera too, right? So it's a little bit
Yeah, I've
tougher
got
to see
25
down.
degrees, so I couldn't see. That's pretty funny.
Awesome.
Frosty.
And as a reminder for everyone, we do have a code going right now, Mr. Steele. If you go to getfpv.com, you'll see you can check out, add on your cart, use the coupon code Mr. Steele. It'll save you 7% on your order. That's good for the next week. So thanks for making that possible, and thanks for joining us, everyone. Why don't we look at a few comments before we start wrapping it up and make sure we get people some answers to their questions. Anything you see, Steele, that you want to mention?
It's basically just people commenting on the thing as far as I can see.
Wait. Phantom says you're invited. Come on. There you
right.
go. Go on the boat.
Which way is up? Oh, I just look at the YouTube because I don't know what the heck's going on. Oh, there it is. There we go.
Shaky Mike says, Mr. Steele, do you remember Frosty FPV?
It sounds familiar, but I think I can put a avatar picture with the name, but I don't know if I remember much other than that. When is the TBS Unify Pro? I don't know, dude. I haven't bought a transmitter in like 3 years. I'm still using the 5 volts. I mean, obviously you are too, but I haven't had to buy one in like 3 years, so I don't even know if they make that radio transmitter anymore.
Well, here's one for you now, because I know you have some car news. Maybe I don't know if you want to share it, but somebody asked, "What's your favorite car under $50,000 dollars?" I'm assuming they're saying
Indy Miata for sure.
Indy
like
Miata.
The new Miata.
Have you driven one?
Yeah, I have one.
Oh, you have the new one? I thought did you have an older one at one point or no?
I did for like 2 weeks, and then that dude had to buy it back from me because it wouldn't pass emissions.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I got a new one instead because I was like, I'm going to spend just as much as I would getting this old piece of crap to drive like this new car. So I just buy the new one. So I didn't buy a new car, but I bought a 2017 Miata, which is technically the new body style.
Nice.
Yeah.
Someone asking, any plans to come fly in New Zealand?
Dude, that's real far away. And you guys are anti-COVID, and I've had it, so you don't want me around, right?
From a location standpoint, I would imagine that would be really cool to fly in New Zealand, though.
It would, yeah. I mean, I at some point, whenever I feel a little more comfortable, I mean, I will travel overseas right now, but if I were to like go on my own personal trip, I think it'll be a year or so. But I would like to do Japan, Australia, New Zealand all in one shot.
That would be a heck of a trip. That'd be awesome.
Maybe at some point, some Southeast Asian countries as well. But I have no idea exactly when that's going to happen, or if I would even be able to do all of that in one shoot. Like I may go to Japan and do that for like 2 weeks. And then I just really want to go to Japan and Australia. And since I'll be in Australia, might as well go to New Zealand. It's not like it's that far away, considering how far I've already come,
Right. I'm with you. Japan's been on my bucket list for a while. I haven't been there, though. That would be cool. Coin says, how did you come up with the name Ethics? Do you have any story behind that?
Yeah. Do you want the real story?
I don't know. Sure. As much as you want to share.
Oh, I mean, it's literally just a jab at Rotor Riot because I didn't feel like I was ethically treated for flying for free for 2 years. That was really the reason I named it that. So like I wanted to start my own company outside of Rotor Riot that, was mine, and I was able to pay people what I thought they deserved for the amount of effort that they were putting in. Because like with Rotor Riot, I basically traveled for free and did everything that I did with Rotor Riot for the first year for no compensation whatsoever. And then the second year for very, very little, I think maybe a couple $1,000s for the entire year. Obviously the pay to travel was great, but I'm building a company for somebody else and not being compensated for it. And I have no stake in the company at all. So it didn't really make sense for me to keep doing that for free. And then I said that, and then because of me saying that, they offered me an amount that was like laughable. So I just said, no, I'm out. And I just bailed and created my own company and called it ethics, because I was like, that was not very ethical of the person that did that, to keep me around for 2 years building a company off my
How
name.
long has Ethics been a brand now, or
We
your
started
company?
in 2017. So 4 years almost.
Wow. Can't believe it's been that long already. Awesome.
I know. It seems like yesterday, right? Maybe, yeah.
Cra-
2017 or 2018. No, it's 2017 for sure, because
yeah.
that's the year that Snake came over and Noelle and all that was around.
Kraken says, when you coming back to Tampa, Mr. Steele?
That I have no idea. Tampa's like a weird place, but Orlando, I know that I talked to Drib 2 nights ago, and I was like, when I come back down to Miami, I'll stop in
Orlando.
Orlando, and then Orlando and Tampa are not too terribly far apart, so
No.
maybe I'll do a Tampa thing.
Cool. And then you got to come down to Sarasota. We're only an hour from there.
Yeah, I know. Everyone, I
Check
just
out the new
run
studios.
that West Coast,
The Florida
that
route. Yeah.
Florida West Coast, and get down to Miami.
Nice. John says, the Ethics Moon Boot, still one of my favorite motors of all time. Will there be a sequel?
Yeah, so we got the Moon Boot. We're going to make replacement bells for the Moon Boot. All of our new motors will all have replacement bells, which has been something that I didn't realize we didn't have until like 3 days ago. But we have 4 new motors coming out in the next week and a half. And the Moon Boot is not on that list, but the Moon Boot V2 is currently in like prototype stage. But yeah, Moon Boot V1 will have replacement bells, because I know people really like that motor, and I actually like it too. So does a couple other pilots that I use, or that I fly with. So yeah, it's a great motor. I understand why it's still one of your favorites, especially if you're flying 6-inch props.
Nice. Remember, which size is the Moon Boot?
It's a 2406 or 2408. I think it's 2408.
Okay, so on the bigger side. Yeah,
It's a
that
little
makes sense
larger.
for 6-inch. Cool.
Yeah, Drib and I are on good terms. Why wouldn't we be? I don't know. J Rods said whatever. Let's see what else. Shaky. How can I be a professional pilot? Well, you need to devote like 3 to 4 years of your life really grinding, and then maybe 2407, he says.
Nice.
I will never ride a unicycle ever again, Pam. Ever. Bob, when I was up in like Tennessee, Bob and Pam came down, and they were like, you know them,
Yeah.
Bob and Pam Davis?
Yep, they were down here maybe about a year ago too.
Yeah, and he was like, yo, you got to drive this unicycle. I'm like, no, I don't want to. And I told him no for like an hour, and then eventually he talked me into it. And I just
Wait, is it the electric one or the
the electric
pedal one?
unicycle.
Oh, yeah.
And
He
I
got me
like
on it too. I about died.
crashed right into my ankle.
Oh,
It like smoked my ankle for a long time.
He's good on that thing.
I know. He makes it look easy.
He does. He does.
Yeah. Never again. Favorite place to fly in Atlanta? Probably Cisco. I don't know, just because it's convenient. It's like right near my house, and it's nice. It's fun.
Someone I saw was asking about when are you getting that. I think they're talking about the Porsche.
Did someone say something about that?
I thought so. And I'm trying to scroll up and find it.
Mm.
Yeah, they said when you getting that GT3.
Well, I bought it yesterday, but it's not
There you
shipped
go,
yet.
J-Rod. J-Rod's asking, yeah.
I've been waiting on the guy to get back to me with information about shipping, so hopefully it will be here.
Where's it coming from? Like long way away?
Connecticut.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like debating on flying up there and driving it back, but then the guy was like, oh no, I can get it transported tomorrow. That was yesterday. And then, now I'm talking to him, and I'm like, what's up? Where's the transport? And he's like, I'm talking to people. I don't know. So I probably won't get it before I leave. I'm supposed to go to California on Monday of next week for a job out in Catalina Island. And then I'll
Catalina wine mixer.
For sure. Will Ferrell will be there, and he will be pissed. So what's up, Dustin? But yeah, and then I'll be going to like Escondido or Ensenada, I think. Is Ensenada's in Mexico? I don't know.
Are you going to Mexico?
Yeah, I'm going to Mexico on next Saturday, I think.
Nice. For business or pleasure?
Business always. I would never go
Always
to Mexico
business.
for pleasure. No, I'm kidding. I would. I just don't generally think to go to Mexico for pleasure, but I do need to hit up like I forget where I was recently, and I met someone that was from Cabo, or no, what is the like main resort in Mexico? There's like this one
Cancun?
Cancun. That's it. He was
Yeah.
born in Cancun, and I was
I was
like,
just there in August with my family, just having
what
a
is that
short
like?
vacation.
Being born
Born
in a
in
place like
Cancun.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Interesting.
White, white with black wheels. 991.2 manual with carbon ceramics and buckets. I don't know. The J Rod will know what that means. But yeah, it's gonna be dope. I'm adding to the collection. I was gonna sell the Exige, and then I kind of decided I'm gonna keep it for a minute. And
So wait, is your garage, does it fit all your cars, or you got stuff out in the driveway now? Because you got a van too, right?
I've got a van, a Miata, the Lotus, the Tesla, and I'll have that GT3 soon.
And they're
So
all white, right?
they're all white, all black
Nice.
wheels. uh, yeah, it's getting a little out of control. But yeah, I think what I'm gonna have to do is either I'm gonna have to double park the two small cars, so I might put the Miata and the Lotus like end to end, or I will put the Miata at my parents' house for a minute until I can like pave my rear garage, because I have another garage in the back of the yard that's like gravel. So
Is it big enough you could put a lift in if you needed to and double it up?
no, I've been contemplating like building a new garage and like putting lift and whatnot in it, but I think I'm just gonna buy a new house with, and then like not a new house, but buy a house that has a more suitable garage and then put a
You
lift
know,
in it.
you know you're a car guy when you're like, I need a new garage. You're like, I should probably just buy a new house for a new garage.
Yeah.
like your focus is how's the garage? Like the house is an afterthought. You're like, how big's the garage?
Yeah, I think ideally I would go with that like JDM style thing that you see like the Japanese domestic market, if nobody knows what JDM means. But there's like in Tokyo Drift, there's like those little houses with the little tube beds, and then there's a garage underneath it. Like that
Yeah,
would be
yeah,
ideal. You
yeah.
know, in the summer you're like melting, but your cars are cool. But
Nice.
yeah, that's kind of the dream world of being like a single car guy, like having a house with a garage underneath it. So ultimately, I think at some point I will buy another house with that type of garage that I want, and then like rent this house out or do something. I love this house. Like I don't want to get rid of it, but it just doesn't suit the certain things. It suits everything about what I do except the fact that I want to lift. I could get one of those like scissor lifts that you drive on and it like folds up,
Mm,
but that's just kind of whack. You need like a full 4 point like actual lift, and then I could put cars on the lift and another car under
right,
it. That would be
right.
dope.
What about even you could dig out a pit too, right? Or is that more work than it's worth?
I guess. But then you'd be like, there's a lot of animals around here. I feel like there'd be like full on spider situation happening in that
Living
pit.
down the
Whatever
pit.
car you put in the pit would be like a spider bomb. There would be never, no moment ever that you would be safe getting in that vehicle. Even right now, like I have to clear. Today I walked around with a piece of bamboo and was like literally making cotton candy with all the spider webs around my
Spider.
house. I've like seen it done on shows before, but I've never like seen it done it myself. There were so many spiders. I didn't take all of them out. I just took the ones that are kind of like the walking path. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you walk outside and you get like smoked with a spider web, that's not good. So I took those out. But like some of the ones that are just chilling, I left those up because they'll take care of some bugs.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah. Pole barn. I don't need a. That's Tom. No, I have a barn. I got a barn in the back that's like gravel floor, but I just don't want to put a vehicle back there. The van sits back there. I could put the Miata back there, but they're. I don't know, man. It's too many things. I am getting the Tesla truck as well when that comes out. This guy asking me about the truck, but I
That's
don't
the
know when the
truck.
hell that's coming out.
Nice.
Like I think I'm like 8,000th in line on that, which is crazy because I think there's 250,000 of those things ordered.
Wow.
So I'm pretty high up there. So when that ever becomes available, the goal is the GT3 and the truck add up one place, just truck and GT3 in one house, and then everything else. And then I may ship some of these somewhere else if I end up buying another
And then
album.
become friends with Elon Musk, and then go out of outer space, maybe hit up Mars.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, man, all this cinema money is pretty good. I might have a spaceship soon.
Nice. Be the first FPV pilot in space.
Yeah. We call it Malta money these days because there was a job in Malta and it was just stupid and it's just funny to say.
Malta money. Yeah,
Yeah, it's funny.
that is funny.
But anyways, yeah. So what's up? What are people saying now?
Yaka's asking, do you still make music?
I do. I actually have that reminds me. The artist. There's a girl I play with named Chelsea that I've been playing with musically since I was like 18 years old. We used to play in a band very consistently from the time I was 18 to like 23. Well, 24. I started playing FPV around mid 24, and I quit that band. I didn't quit. I just told her I don't have time for this anymore.
Mhm.
And then, like, I guess late last year, we linked up, started playing again, and then when I'm in town, we get together and play. So, but the idea is we're gonna try to do like a 5-song EP, maybe a 10-song, depending on how much we can get done. But it'll be kind of a bare bones album. We'll hopefully do it this year. Hopefully, I don't
Nice.
know. I'm
And then
traveling so
it'll
much.
be available to like download, or people can buy it, or how will you
I'm
distribute it?
sure we'll just make it free for just like at this point, what does it matter? Like if it gets popular, like cool. But like making money off of music, especially when you're trying to get it out there, is just like the dumbest thing ever. Like, hey, I got this thing that you don't know you want, but you've never heard it before, and you're probably not gonna like it. Let's charge money for it.
What kind of music is it? Is it like a genre that could explain it, or how would you describe it?
Um, I don't even know. She's kind of like Fiona Apple and Gwen Stefani, like meshed into one. And then I play like open tuning, like Soundgarden, Led Zeppelin, Rage Against the Machine. Like that's the type of stuff that I play. Like those, if you could mesh all those things
So, I
together,
mean,
that's
you're on guitar then, or what are you
yeah. I
playing?
play guitar and sometimes vocals, but it's mainly her on vocals and me on guitar. And then like I can play bass and like if we need drums, I can do mild things on drums, but nothing crazy.
I figured
Probably
you
just do
just do
drum
it with your
machine.
mouth and beatbox.
Yeah, we could do that too. But drum machine probably be more for par for the course these days because like I want to do trip hop. Like I don't know if you know Portishead.
Okay.
It's a '90s band. They like kind of big with trip hop. Anyways, that style is like mainly drum machine based. Uh, it sounds dumb, like drum machines, but it sounds really good if you do it right.
Okay. I remember, and you were doing, I think it was a F3. You were doing beatboxing. Maybe you remember it. And we were like in a hallway near some bathrooms, I think. And Alex from Flight Test like wanted to record you, so you started beatboxing, and he was recording you. And then
And
like
that
two
dude,
minutes in, no, I think it's like a woman walks out of the girl's bathroom and like
oh
just real
yeah,
awkwardly like walks right in front of you, like
yeah,
she'd probably been listening by the door the whole time or something.
no, I think yeah, I remember that. I don't remember. It was in a restaurant. I want to say
Was
it
it
was
okay?
like, I'm trying to think of the restaurant, but yeah, I do remember that. There was a little alleyway where the two doors of the restrooms were, and it was like kind of enclosed. And we had like 5 or 6 people in this little spot blocking all the doors. And I was
Right.
beatboxing, and this chick just like busted out of one of the doors. Yeah, it was pretty intense
I
for
just remember
her.
everybody laughing. It was like really awkward for a couple seconds.
Yeah. Nick Draper asked me what kind of wax I use. I don't use wax anymore. I just cut it to where it becomes manageable. I go full cop stash and like cut it. Why my stash is what he's asking about.
Nice. Mookie says you should release your album on vinyl. Do you do any vinyl? Are you into that at all?
No, I'm not that hip.
All right.
I like it, but I'm not that hip. The chick Chelsea that I play with, she has a gramophone,
Mm.
and that is the most visceral sounding thing I've ever heard in my life. Like I'm a pretty big audiophile, and I will say like out of all the sound systems I've heard, the Tesla sound system is amazing as far as like it just being in an experience. Obviously, there are better things. I've been in like one of my friends has like a room that is dedicated to audio. Like you sit in the middle of it, and there's like a couple $100,000 speakers around the room, and like the little box, the tubes that power the amp are, that amp is probably like ridiculous money, like cars worth some money in that room just in speakers. So I have been in like those types of environments, but that gramophone thing is like, it's just so organic sounding. And you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that movie Wild Wild West, the dude that
With
has
Will
like,
Smith.
yeah, he has like the thing in his ear.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
basically like that conical looking thing, and it has like a record player, little whatever you call the record player pin that sits on the record and scratches over the top of it. But anyways,
Yeah.
like it has, I don't think it's powered or amplified in any way. It's not
Here,
like a record
let me share
player.
my screen. Am I on the right
Yeah,
direction anywhere
yeah, like
here?
fifth one over on the top. Like that's exactly what hers looks like.
That one?
Except hers is a wooden. Uh, the bell is wooden, so it's like has a
Okay.
more warm sound to it. Like those are all brass,
Okay.
and the wooden one sounds super warm.
Wooden. Let's see.
Yeah, so
Something
that
like
one.
that.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, the one you're looking at. I just pointed to it. So yeah, the actual the cone is wooden.
Crazy.
Yeah, they're like really expensive. Like that thing's probably like $5,000, and it's like, from 1890 or maybe
Wow.
older. But anyways, you put like a 45 LP on there or something. Like I don't know if you can put a full like what is it? Not 88. What's the big one? There's like 45s, and there's like the big guy.
Yeah, I know you're talking about, but I'm not the right guy to ask
You
either.
put the little one on there, and it just sounds crazy. Like you hear some there's no bass at all, so it doesn't really like live up to what people are used to these days. But anyways, it sounds cool. If you haven't ever experienced one, I would recommend it.
Sounds good. You heard it first here from Mr. Steele. Get your gramophone. That's cool, man. Well, Steele, I really appreciate you hanging out with us tonight and hanging out with everybody in the chat. Thank you for everyone who joined us. We had a lot of people in here all night. That was awesome. This video will be up here on GetFPV's YouTube too, so you can watch it later if you want. Remember, there is the code right now for the next week, Mr. Steele. You can use that at checkout at GetFPV. And if you want to fly like Mr. Steele, we do sell his build at GetFPV, so you can pick that up.
Does that one have the FET Tech in it or the KISS?
Yep, this is FetTech. So we moved everything over. Everything that's in stock is all. It's kind of hard to see in there, but it's all FetTech now too for the flight controller and the ESC.
Sick.
And it's got the spike absorber and all that stuff on there.
Sick. 78. Oh no, I don't know. There's a bunch of names in there. I was trying to figure out LP 78.
Oh,
whatever.
right.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for coming out. I mean, there's a lot of consistent people in here, so that's pretty awesome. I'm sure one of them was my mom. I think she just texted me and was like, "Hey, that was cool."
Nice.
Oh no, it wasn't my mom. My friend just had a baby. That's crazy.
Oh, congrats.
I'm getting old. All my friends are having children. How old's your daughter? Don't you have a daughter?
I
That's
got two. Yeah, I got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old now. So kindergartner already. Crazy.
How old are you? 35?
38.
Dang. That's like the generation. So like Eric is 38 and he has a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. And then I have two other friends that are like the same age with the same children. Like the same age. Everyone was like, babies this year. Everyone had babies like 5-6 years ago. At least all the people that I know, at least. It's funny.
Yeah. I started FPV before babies and now I got babies. So new world, but it's been good. Well, it's been really good catching up with you, Steele. Wish you the best and looking forward to getting to see you in person again sometime whenever you get down in this area.
Yeah,
always welcome here at GetFPV. Thanks for joining us on this chat and Legends of FPV. And thank you too on my behalf of the community for all you've done for FPV and our community and products and all that. It's been really awesome to have you as a part of it all these years.
Well, thank you for putting up with it.
Anytime. All right. Bye, everyone. We'll see you on the next one.